You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Thanks for joining us this week. Thanks for supporting this podcast. If you're here for Scott Porter, wonderful dude. If you like the interview, all I ask is please give this podcast a chance. There's so many podcasts out there. So if you like this interview and you're like, hey, look at all the, we have a back catalog full of great guests and we talk about mental health and life and not just actory stuff, but support us and follow us at Inside of You podcast on Instagram and Facebook at Inside of You pod on the Twitter. Mm-hmm. And listen to us, follow us, write a review. It really helps the podcast. And you're getting this for free. If you like it, help out. And if you want to really support the podcast, you could join Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you. There's all different tiers. It's become a wonderful community of friends and just community, really. People talk about everything. There's a lot of friends that have been made on Patreon. So you could join. There's different tiers where I send a box to you with a bunch of cool stuff. My 5-year people just got a big gift. You could be on the podcast. There's so many perks. So check out the tiers. Go to patreon.com/inside of you. And the Inside of You online store has a bunch of cool stuff like Smallville pilot scripts signed by me and Lexmas scripts and ship keys and Funkos and shirts and new tumblers, all that stuff. And my Instagram is at the Michael Rosenbaum. Go to my link tree for cameos and all that and conventions that I'm doing with Tom Welling and the other cast members. And Ryan Tejas is here.
I'm still here.
Ryan is here.
Yeah.
What started out as just could use your help has turned into I need you.
That's how it always goes. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's been years.
Coming up on 6.
Is it 6 years?
Coming up on 6, which is crazy.
You've been working with me for 6 years?
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
I know.
It seems like yesterday you were like, I think I could do it.
Yeah, I know.
And now you're producing the Talkville Rewatch podcast.
I've gotten started.
You have gotten started.
Uh-huh.
We got to go celebrate. We got to do a 6-year dinner.
A 6-year dinner?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
We'll do a 6-year dinner.
All right.
Celebrating Ryan. Yeah. Thanks for all the support. Father's Day. Is it this Sunday? I think this would be after that. Yeah, I think Father's Day passed.
Father's Day's passed.
So happy Father's Day to everybody. I was going to say, hey, buy the book for your father, The Talented Farter on Amazon. My book, it's a sound book, but you can still buy it. It's a great gift for kids and fathers. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's just get right into this. Thank you for all the support and the love. And we got some great interviews coming up. So keep listening and let's get inside. This guy's great. Scott was such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And very talented. You know him from Friday Night Lights, Ginny and Georgia. And we talk about everything. And he was pretty open. Mm-hmm. And I like that. So let's get inside of Scott Porter. It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. So I was telling you this before that I just talked to Aaron Ashmore. I was like, who has he worked with? Who has Scott worked with that I know? And I say, oh, Aaron.
Yeah.
And he goes, great guy, family guy, super into sports, comic books, musicals. He can do it all, multi-talented. Say what's up for me. Gil says what's up.
Oh, Gil gets a different reaction than Aaron. But yeah, I know Aaron and his brother for a while. But, when you know a pair of twins, but you don't know them super well, like if you see one of them at the farmer's market, you're like, which one is it? Which one is it?
I know. And they look so much alike. I mean, there's certain things, like I have a friend, my buddy John Heater, Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
And he's one of my dear friends, and his brother Dan's a dear friend. I can tell them easily apart. But some people that meet Dan for the first time, it's like, is that? I'm like, no. Maybe because I know him so well.
Yeah, man. No, for me, I can tell them apart now. But yeah, man, the sports thing is hilarious. Like he still owes me a day at a Hamilton Tiger Cats CFL game. So I'm gonna make
you like CFL?
Dude, I like all sports.
You do.
Man, I got into this business, I think, for the most part, to get free tickets to the games, man. Not even free tickets, but just get in the room.
Yeah.
Like, I've gone to some incredible, like, season openers. I'm talking Maple Leafs, Canadians, puck drop, Saturday night, NHL season premiere. You know, like, getting tickets to that.
In Canada? That's hockey.
And the thing is, man, is Friday Night Lights is what gets me in the door, because almost every front office, any sports team across the country. Oh, wait, Jason Street wants a ticket.
QB1?
Let's find him a seat. So for me, but it's all sports, man. I have a love of, it is, you know, people love theater, people love all these different hobbies that they have, but witnessing sports in person, that moment, being in the room, there's nothing like it.
Well, I'm a big underdog fan, and being a New York fan, like a Mets, Rangers, Knicks, Giants, it's sort of self-explanatory, but like, you know, I suffer is my cuckoo clock, if you could hear it. But I suffer.
Yeah, I'm from Nebraska originally, so spoken for as a Huskers fan. But then out of that, I grew like a bunch of different allegiances. So Saturday morning cartoons would get over, Big East basketball would come in Nebraska, and I'd see Georgetown and the Hoya Destroyer playing, and I became a huge Patrick Ewing fan. Followed him to the NBA. So you want to talk about long suffering? Yeah, I'm a huge Knicks fan too. Like ever since he was drafted, I'm talking like 85, 86.
Our only hope was the Rockets in 94, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we lost that in game 7, and I was just like, and I thought, okay, the Knicks are going to be good. And it's like, it's been since 1973.
Yeah.
Is that right? Since the Knicks have won. It's 1986 since the Mets have won. It's at least the Giants have won some Super Bowls, but the Rangers haven't won since 1994. So like, not to bore everybody with sports, but like, this is something like, I'm not really big into college basketball. I went to Western Kentucky University.
Oh, the
Hilltoppers. You probably know every mascot, don't you?
I know quite a few of them.
What's the one? The San Jose or there's a funny name. It's the funniest name. They're the blank. It's a California team, basketball.
That I may not know.
The Santa Cruz Banana Slugs?
Banana slugs. The banana slugs.
I would have gotten there with Santa Cruz, but I mean, listen. Listen. The Nebraska Cornhuskers were originally called the Bug Eaters. I'm not kidding.
Really,
it was the Nebraska Bug Eaters. They allowed a bunch of kindergarten kids to name the football team. They thought it was a good idea statewide. Let all the kindergartners come up with the mascot, and Bug Eaters got on the ballot somehow, and just runaway victory for the Nebraska Bug Eaters. So I mean, you know, I've been a fan of crazy, kooky, you know, mascot names for a while. But
yeah, you were a wide receiver in high school.
I was, yeah.
Can you throw the football pretty far?
I can throw. I'm better at route running, but
can you throw 40 yards?
I mean, now with
if you warm up for an hour,
yeah, I could probably get there 40, but I think you're pushing it any further.
We were playing flag football for so many years, and we just quit like about 5 years ago because everybody started getting hurt. I'm in my 50s now,
yeah.
So like everybody was trying. I wasn't really getting hurt, but like everyone around me was. But I kind of want to do a last hurrah, like a flag football game with all my friends, and just like, you might have to come out and be like QB for the other team.
Dude, I mean, look, I'm still pretty fast. In high school, ran a 4.53 to a 4.56, like in that range. Depends on what day I was testing, and I had really good hands. I grew up. I'm a Broncos fan. But because they played in the AFC West, Steve Largent played for the Seahawks, so I grew up watching him as well. And I loved the way that guy attacked the ball.
Yeah.
And so I grew up like doing that. You know, I was.
You're popular in high school? You have to be. If you're a wide receiver, you got to be popular.
You know, I was as much of a nerd as I am now. I was a nerd in high school too. So I was.
Because you're doing music. Right? In theater?
Yeah. I was in chorus. I would sing the national anthem with my helmet under my arm before the football game, and then go into the locker room.
You sang the national anthem?
Yeah. And with in my full uniform with my helmet under my arm, then run into, and I'm the starting wideout for a team that was,
dude, that's unheard of.
We were state quarterfinalists and then state semifinalists my junior and senior year. I mean, our team had 3 future NFL players on it for a school that had no success before.
Gosh.
So my coach was pissed at me. He's like, you need to be in the locker room. Why are you out there?
But you like doing it. And people probably loved it and gave you more of an ovation because you're a. And did you get really high? Do you sing it, the anthem kind of just, oh, say can
no.
Or do you go, you do these runs and shit?
I'm a rock tenor who has a little bit of ability to run. And And I was in a barbershop quartet in high school. So doing the anthem was my time to show everybody else that I don't only sing corny barbershop, which I love to death, but people consider very corny. So I was in an a cappella group. I was in chorus. I was a comic book nerd. I would stay home.
You love Boyz II Men, didn't you?
I did love 2. The album 2 is one of the greatest R&B albums of all time.
Could you sing that? Not now, obviously, but could you sing that song? How do I?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Easily.
We sang that in a
You could sing it pitch perfect every time.
Yeah. It's so hard to say goodbye.
Confidence.
Come on, man. Yes.
I mean, you were in what, music and lyrics?
I was in music and lyrics, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not afraid when someone says, hey, this requires singing. You don't get nervous.
No. I mean, my parents met in a rock band in the 80s called Ruckus. My dad's a drummer named Butch. It was just me and my mom until I was 6, and she was a vocalist. And his band Ruckus started getting their ass kicked locally in Omaha by a female-led band called High Heel and the Sneakers, which to this day I think is one of the best like rock band names I've ever heard. And I love it. They were female fronted, so all of a sudden all these bar managers were like, "Hey man, you got to get a chick lead, or else we're not going to book you anymore." My dad's like, "God dang it!" So they start auditioning all these different singers, and he had seen my mom in a jazz band somewhere around town, and she walked in. He was like, "Nope, not her. Not her. She's already in a band. She's here to just," my dad's very paranoid. "She's here to just steal all our contacts and get all our bookings." No.
He said that?
He did. He voted no. The rest of the band was like, "You're crazy." Voted yes. She gets voted into the band, and a year and a half later, they get married. So,
Oh my God.
luckily
what a
someone
story.
was able to check him there. But as far as getting scared to sing, I mean, look, I went on The Masked Singer, and that was a whole different level of,
because you're in a costume.
Yeah. Millions of people are going to see it though. So you're singing going, millions of people are going to hear this. It's
you
one
psych
thing.
yourself out.
You do a little bit, but the mask kind of like protected me in that realm because I was kind of free of judgment that way. It's like you're judging a gumball machine, which was my costume, not me. So one of the things I know I can do if you need me to is step up and bang out a set.
I wish I had that confidence because I have a band and we're just finishing our 3rd album and I love it. And I love writing music and playing, but I'm not the strongest singer, so I kind of just do what I can do. And then I get great harmonies and things like that. But I always wish that I had that. People are like, well, you could train. I'm like, no, I think it's something you really have to have innately.
But you guys write your own music.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's... So when I was in college, I was a structural engineering major. I'm a very like math brain thinker. I grew up like math, physics, all that stuff came really easy
12
to
times
me.
13.
12 times 13. I mean, now you're getting me. 12 times 13 is 100.
What is it?
It's 12 times 3 is
157.
36.
No.
12 times 3 is 36.
Oh, no, 12 times 13.
You just said, I know.
Yeah.
I'm doing the back end of it, right?
Yeah, go ahead. I can't do it.
10 times 10 is 100.
Right. 11 times 11 is 121.
Where are you going with? You know what my biggest problem is right now?
I told you I'm not good at math.
I know you're throwing numbers. My biggest problem now is like the way I know how to figure things is, start at the back end, go forward. But my kids now, they do all these like sticks of 10 or like all this new math stuff. And I'm like, I've got a 10 and a 7-year-old and they're just constantly teaching me the way they do math now, which for me was like so easy for a long time. But the reason I even brought it up is because I'm envious of you guys because you're writing your own music. I've never been a creator in that way. When I do music, I was a beatboxer for a long time, but the way I approach rhythm, it's math. Rhythm's just math. It's all subdivision, right? Notes, harmonies, all that stuff. Intervals. It's just all intervals. It's just all math. And if you can relate it to the voice, then that's great. But there's formulas that people have when they're acting. There's certain steps that they take. There's formulas to writing scripts. There's all these things where you're like, oh, we have 3 different acts. We need to accomplish things in A, B, and C. So I look at all these things in a very logistical manner. And I wish I could be more creative, like in that sense. So I've never really written my own music or anything like that. But
you could easily do it. You start down, I start with chords. I'll play a chord into another chord and I'll go, I like that. It needs to go into something else. And I'll keep going. And while I'm doing that, I'll go, He was
Is it 156? 12 times 13? Yeah, it's 156.
I said 157.
You were, yeah, but
It was one off, bro.
it's 156. I love it. I had to come back to it because I was like, I had to get through my thought.
It
but
was
then,
a little ADD or a little OCD or what was that?
a little bit. I mean, I was like, I knew the answer, and then you're like 121, 157.
Yeah, I'm trying to distract you. I didn't want you to
It's
guess. See, you know this stuff. Structural engineering, Jesus. But like you said, your mom was raising you till you were 6 years old. Was your father just not around? They divorced?
I don't know my biological father at all. He left my mom before I was even a year old. You know, he was a construction guy. My mom had me at 19. They were very young. They met in high school.
Yeah, my mom had me at my dad was 19 when he had me.
Yeah. So they, you know, it's a lot for a kid. And, you know, I'm not giving him an excuse or anything, but, you know, my mom came home one night and there was beer cans all over the house. Him and his construction buddies had been partying. One of them peed in my dresser drawers, like, you know, just like got so, you
belligerent.
know, I don't know if I can curse on the podcast.
You can curse.
Got so shit-faced that like he lost all sense. He's supposed to be watching me. My mom's working 2 jobs at the time. She was a nurse. She was doing so much. And, you know, she's at 19 and she came home. She said, you need to get yourself together, man. Like, get yourself together. Go and get a 9-to-5. If this is the influence that you have doing what you're doing, like, go get a different job where you're around a different group of people where you can break out of some of this stuff. And, you know, he told her, yeah, okay, I have a big interview today. He's like, you know, dresses up one day, which is a way different look for him. He's like, I've paid the bills. You know, I'm getting my life together. I'm ready to go, you know, cause she had threatened him. She's like, I'll move back to California where my father is. Cause that's her dad was living in LA at the time. And I was, you know, this was in Nebraska, and she was like, okay, great. I'm glad that, you know, you've got yourself together. He left that day, never came back, said he was going to an interview, just took off, hadn't paid any of the bills. Told her that he did. And this is a time before everything where you had to like drive to the office and pay them, write a check, send it in, whatever. So the lights go out. Like he was like, he just
disappeared. No one ever saw him again.
The lights go out. So, you know, my mom came out here to LA and my grandfather, Bob, actually, he worked at Burbank Studios before it became Warner Brothers. And like we stayed with him like I was, you know, for a year when I was little.
Was he cool?
My grandpa Bob was awesome. He passed away when I was 5 at 50 years old.
And you remember him?
It's crazy for me to, yes, 100%.
That's amazing.
My mom's dad, he was awesome. And I also remember him because he did so much, you know, stuff for me, like he worked on Dukes of Hazzard. He worked with Clint Eastwood. I have all these signed photos and headshots from like the Duke brothers and from Clint Eastwood and from all these guys because he was out. He's a Texas guy. He came out here to LA and started making his way, and he worked in transportation and then worked as a grip.
That's so cool.
So, you know, he just, I have all this stuff, you know, in memory of him. And my mom, you know, she lost him really young. She was 25 when he passed, you know, so she keeps his memory alive. I talk about my grandpa Bob all the time, but this is a crazy story.
Inside of You is brought to you by Smalls. If you're a pet lover like me, you love dogs, you love cats. Well, if you love cats, I have so many friends, girlfriends, Carrie, Shira. They all have cats, and they care so much about their cats. Well, as I said, this podcast is sponsored by Smalls. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients you find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. And that's why Cats.com named Smalls their best overall soft cat food. To get 35% off plus an additional 50% off your first order, head to Smalls, SMALLS.com, and use our promo code INSIDE for a limited time only.
Smalls was started back in 2017 by a couple of guys home cooking cat food in small batches for their friends. And a few short years later, they've served millions of meals to cats across the U.S.
And now you can add other cat favorites like amazing treats and snack to your Smalls order. After switching to Smalls, a survey shows about 88% of cat owners reported overall health improvements, and that is a big deal. If you love your animal, and like me, my animals get the best. I want them, they don't live long lives. So you want them to be as healthy as they can be so they live the longest they can. So the team at Smalls is so confident that your cat will love the product that you can try it. Listen to this. I love this. This is confidence in your product. You could try Smalls risk-free. That means they will refund you if your cat won't eat their food. What are you waiting for? Give your cat the food they deserve. For a limited time only, because you are an Inside of You listener, you can get 35% off Smalls plus an additional 50% off your first order by just using my code INSIDE. That's an additional 50% off when you head to smalls.com and use promo code INSIDE. Again, that's promo code INSIDE for an additional 50% off your first order plus free shipping at smalls.com.
This is a crazy story. I booked my first real thing out here in LA, Heart of Dixie, shot at the Warner Brothers lot. And I show up for my first day of work and I meet this guy, Marlo, and he was the head of our transportation department. And we got to talking, and, my mom called me a couple of days later and she's like, hey, that's where your grandfather worked. The town square where you're shooting Heart of Dixie is where they did Dukes of Hazzard. I was like, no way. I was like, that's kind of crazy. So I'd walked around. I found all the different, he worked on the Rockford Files. He was Jim Garner's stand-in because he looked a lot like James Garner.
Come on.
Ended up being his double. Ended up learning how to do stunts because he lived down the street from Clint Eastwood's stunt guy. And
this
so
had to be overwhelming.
I remember all this stuff, but the overwhelming part is 2 weeks in, I'm loving the fact that it's I'm feeling my grandfather here on the lot. This is cool, man.
Yeah.
I feel so much more connected to him. And I tell Marlo, the head of our transportation department, and he goes, wait, he worked on what shows? And I start to tell him. He was like, what's your grandfather's name? I said, Bob Fraley. He goes, Bobby? They started the same year. Marlo and my grandpa Bob started in the same transportation department at Burbank Studios. He knew Bobby. He knew my grandfather.
He tell you stories?
Yeah, he got stories. And so I got to learn my grandfather. I got to learn things about my grandfather through somebody that had worked with him on his time when he was working out here. When my mom was actually, my mom's stepfather was an Air Force colonel. That's why I'm from Nebraska. Her mom had remarried. And so she was away from him even during that time when Grandpa Bob was working out here in LA. And so Marlo's got stories that even she's never heard. So mom comes out, she gets to hang out with Marlo. It was so cool to get to know him that way through stories and people remember him. And that was so cool. It keeps
his spirit alive.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. I believe in that stuff. I believe my grandfather or my grandma, they're watching over me in a way. And people should say that, come on. But to me, it's more like an energy, and it's more how your brain could sort of choose to believe that these are signs and really actually feel it. Like when you see when something's going wrong and then I was at the doctor and I wasn't having a good day and I was a little worried about something. And all of a sudden this older woman goes, "Where's my jacket?" And I'm like, oh my God, that's my grandmother, my grandfather. And she's like, "Where's my jacket? You said, I told you to watch the jacket." Sounded just like her. And then he goes, "What do you want? You might have left it upstairs. What do you?" And this whole thing happened. And I go, God, that's just like my grandparents. And I just looked at my phone, and as they're walking out and he says something and she goes, "Oh, come on, Irv." And I go, "What?" That's my grandfather's name. And I go, that was a moment. That was a moment that I believe that they let me know, hey, we're still around. We're still, dude. It's that spirit. I like to think that. And I do believe it, so yeah.
Oh, I believe too, man. I do.
Yeah. I think, people always say you believe in God. And I'm like, yeah. Well, how can you prove it? I go, how can you not prove it?
Do you know what my answer always is how I believe that my belief. So we talking math again. My belief in something is always going to be greater than your belief in nothing. If you multiply one times one, it's always going to be greater than 1 times 0.
Yeah.
So that's, always the way I look at it. I mean, there's just, so yeah, I believe it.
I do too. I like to believe that. I'm not religious. I'm more spiritual, but my grandmother always, my grandfather would say, "What do you think? We go somewhere? We go to heaven?" My grandma's like, "Yeah, I believe that, Irv." And I'd be like, "You know what, Blanche? I believe that too. I believe it too. You'd be the best person you could be. You try to help people. You try to be kind.
Yeah.
And there's something else." And, so, when we got in here, we were talking, you seem so excited because I was talking to Aaron about season 2 and this awesome scene you had in the office where I'll send you back to prison and I'll do all this stuff and when you were here, you were just talking, you got excited about like some people will always ask you like, what's your best one-liner or what's your, and things like that. And it's like, trying to figure it out, but you're like, I felt like it's nice to see that you're excited about season 3 and all the stuff that you get to do in season 3.
Yeah. I mean, look, the first 2 seasons, Paul, my character, has been like a very, I don't know, Georgia, the lead character, and Brienne, who plays her, is brilliant.
Yeah, she's great.
But she's a maelstrom. She is a storm, and there's a martial art to being with somebody like that who is just like, she's a force of nature, and you've got to figure out a way to continue standing, not let that thing, topple you over. And Paul has been able to stand tall through all this, take a beat, and somewhat politically respond, sometimes very thoughtfully, sometimes very carefully, but respond in season 3, it kind of strips a lot of that away. I've been using one word for this season, reckoning. A lot of people's decisions and choices, whether to do something they've been warned against or to let something sit that maybe they should have addressed. All of those things come to the fore in season 3. And it creates some new, really interesting dynamics between characters. So, I get some cool stuff with Rhea Black, who plays Joe. Love that guy in real life. Didn't get a ton of like time with him on screen. I get a little bit more of that in season 3.
Yeah.
And out of creating these new relationships, because they are all relationships, like how your character relates to somebody else. It's so fun because you find some really funny, really interesting things. And so 2 of my all-time favorite lines that Paul says are in season 3. And last night we had our premiere, which is crazy.
It's just killing.
We haven't had a premiere though. This was our first premiere. We're going into season 3. We got our first premiere, which was like so cool, but it's been so long since I've been to a premiere of something I'm in. I think like 2011. I mean, I'm talking 13 years. You want to talk about being out of practice for something like that.
Yeah.
Right? I go to other people's carpets, take some pictures. That's fine. No interviews. And so I'm on the red carpet. I forgot how rapid fire all these questions are.
Oh, yeah. It's so cool. They don't get it's just like, how's this? What's your character like?
And with Netflix, it's all like fan-driven questions. And it's all like, what can I say? What can I say? Everything is super secretive. I'm like, like grumbling on the carpet. And so I was like, what's my favorite line? Oh, it's this. Oh, I can't talk about that. That's in season 3. No, it's this one. Oh, no, I can't talk about that. So yeah, I was kind of like, I was a little petrified. I'm like so comfortable in so many places. But last night on the carpet, I was like, what is happening, dude?
That's exciting though, man.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And it's really taking Netflix by storm, right? I mean, the show's like a big success. It's not just like, there's another, because there's so many shows, but it's getting so much attention. Why do you think that is? What would you say it is about this show that people are really responding to?
Its voice, I think, is different than a lot of the other shows. And I think a lot of that comes because our creator, this is like her first major thing. She was in development and stuff before this at a production house. But it is so clearly Sarah Lampert's voice in our script and her fearlessness to try the craziest shit. I mean, she created this character of Georgia and this family dynamic of her and Ginny and Austin and, a woman who will do anything to protect her family in a way that I don't know we fully 100%. I mean, I know these stories have been told before, but not in this like kind of like fish out of water fashion. There's a lot of humor. But it's just her voice. This is a lot of Sarah Lampert's voice. And I remember when I read the pilot, there was like 17 F-bombs in the script. And I was like, what is this? And for people out there that don't know, like Netflix has a bunch of different categories within their, I look at them like a hedge fund of television, right? They want to have different portfolios, right? So they have drama, they have young adult, they have spectacle, they have like all these different listings of shows. And you've got to fall into one of these buckets.
What does this fall into?
They started an indie line. And I think it was something like 10 shows they had kind of picked up. Only 2 of them ever got made. The indie line kind of like got killed off. They were looking at a way to make, shows at smaller scale, as well as the big, huge spectacle shows. So like a Bridgerton, that's a big show, man.
Yeah.
But you've got to have some balance, right? So we were one of those balance shows. But I remember reading it and just going, holy crap. Like this woman is like killed a dude in a flashback and she's on the run from like this old motorcycle gang
Yeah,
and one
she's
of her
got
ex-husbands. And like she ends up in this small town in the Northeast, which I think was a really fun way to do the fish out of water thing. Taking somebody from the South and putting them up north is not normally what you see.
Right.
Usually take somebody from a coastal elite town, throw them into the South, and they make comedy out of it. But this was so different. And the way that Paul reacted to her, I had like scenes from, episode 8 or episode 6, which of course I didn't get those scripts of. So I'm just getting snippets of his character. And he was like this really confident in a cool way kind of guy, like really sure of himself.
Till he meets her.
But even in the scenes that I auditioned with, he was like still like, one of the audition scenes was the whole town is telling him he shouldn't date this woman and he's not allowed to date this woman. And he's like, fuck you. I'm doing it. I'm the mayor. I don't care. We're doing this. You like me.
Yeah.
I like you. Let's stop all the high school bullshit. We're together. And that was like, I loved that element of him. So it's just her voice. And then, we do talk about a lot of subjects and we have a large cast, which is unique, I think, nowadays.
How many people are in the cast?
I think a testament to how good your cast is how many like regulars you add as you go forward as a show. So season 1, I think we're 8 deep series regulars.
Jeez.
We're up over 10 now. And that's because this casting on this show has been perfect. We have just incredible actresses and actors that are younger, that this is one of their first bigger things.
And it builds excitement. It adds another level when you do that.
Yeah.
It's like, in a sense, it's like a team, a sports team.
Yeah.
It's like, your team has all the elements and it's like, they didn't win the Stanley Cup. So they acquire this person and this person. And it's like, oh, it adds a little depth. It adds a little this.
Yeah.
And it just gets stronger and stronger.
And that's what we've been doing. We've been like acquiring talent. It's like the Warriors. No, they built their team in a very natural way. They drafted a couple and then they went and found people that like Iguodala, like they brought him in. Right. So it's like we've been building the team the right way. Our casting directors don't get enough credit. But the cast itself is great. And I think like over these couple of seasons, we've really seen people grow into their own. And everybody is somehow they're doing the balance of we're going to show all these storylines. And so there's just so many different characters for people to connect to.
Yeah. A few seconds ago, I caught you say, casting directors don't get enough credit. And I was like, I bet your wife had something to do with you saying that. Because you married a casting director.
Yeah, but from a different walk. She...
I'm kidding, by the way.
Well, I mean, look, I have a huge respect for what she did because she did it in the world of reality. And they definitely don't get enough credit in reality because you don't have story writers in reality. The characters, the people that you cast, they are the story. Mm-hmm. So if you don't get that right, you don't have a show. And these casting producers don't get the credit that they deserve. The people that find the actual people who are in reality television, that is a very thankless job. And but over time, I mean, look, I look back, Linda Lowy on Friday Night Lights. She knocked it out of the park. I looked at every single person on that set and I go, we're here because, I mean, of course, Pete had a vision. Pete Berg.
But she brings them to him.
And found them in all corners of the earth. Like we started shooting the first season of Friday Night Lights and we didn't even have our Riggins yet because they were trying to get Taylor Kitsch a visa to come and work with us because they found him like super last minute. But Linda, every single stone she could turn over, she was turning over and she just found the perfect cast. And they're almost more in tune with the project as it starts than anybody. Because they found the actors to inhabit all these roles. As long as they're not foisted upon them, right? Sometimes networks get in their own way. When you watch a show and you're like, that's not the right role for that person. You know whose fault that is? Not the casting director. That's usually the studio's fault.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. They do that a lot. The cast, Friday Night Lights is an anomaly because I rarely watch network television. And this show was one of the best shows ever on television. It was, I probably watched the whole series in a month. I couldn't stop watching it. I loved it. I love these characters. You could smell the town. Everything about it seemed authentic.
Yeah.
It was something that you don't see very often. Did you have any idea how special it was from the get-go?
I did. I did because, I mean, we talked earlier about whether or not I played football. I did in high school. We had a very similar experience. My senior year, we're in the state semifinals against Pensacola, Escambia. Emmett Smith's nephew was playing for them, and we lost 13-7. And I scored the only touchdown that game, and I had a very similar route concept. I was open. Quarterback goes a different direction, ball gets tipped, it gets picked. We're within 30 yards of winning this thing, and it was game over. And we all kind of fell to the field. And just, you mourn immediately.
Yeah.
This number of years, whether it's 4 or maybe you've played Pop Warner with these guys since middle school, maybe it's 8 years. Like you've been bleeding, sweating, giving everything for these other kids that you're with. And at 16, 17, 18 years old, that's tough, man. So when the movie came out, a bunch of us went and, watched the movie. Shout out to my buddy Ben Hallmiller. He was our left tackle in high school, and he now is like lead director of NCAA football, the video game for EA.
Wow!
So he's
Does
like
he hire you?
passion for football. I've worked on Madden, so
you did Madden.
I got to work with him, but it was like we went and saw it in the theater, and other of my old teammates, we went and saw it in the theater. And then I was up in New York, and I was doing a little off-Broadway show called Altar Boys, and I was auditioning for Tarzan on Broadway.
Right.
And it came down to me and this other guy. He was incredibly talented. Josh, he ends up booking the role, and I got offered, lead understudy for both Tarzan and The Hunter, lead ensemble. I would be on the album. I would be in a Disney theatrical musical, which was awesome.
Awesome.
But we asked for an out for television because my first pilot season was coming up. I had never had a pilot season before. I had signed with my agent while I was doing this off-Broadway musical, and they said, we don't give outs for television. They said that you've done this cute little off-Broadway show, but we can teach you how to really command a stage. We can make you a lead actor. Why do you want to go to television? You're just going to be fourth handsome guy from the left on some WB show and just be forgotten. And they said this to me in the interview.
Why do you think they said
like
that?
the meeting? And it really pissed me off.
Yeah.
I don't think they knew. Like playing sports the way that I did, I do have a bit of a chip on my shoulder. And it was really hard for me in this business for a while because I looked at every audition as a win or a loss, and that can destroy you. But in that moment, I was like, okay, all right, let's see.
All right, motherfucker.
So I passed on the first 5 scripts I read in my first pilot season. My agent Randy calls me. She's like, what the do you think you're doing? She's like, you don't pass on anything. This is your first pilot season. We are going in for every audition. You are auditioning for everything. And like the 7th script I read was Friday Night Lights. And I was like, this is incredible. This is the thing. This is not fourth handsome guy from the left on some whatever quote they said. Not that I think I'm handsome. That was just the words. That was the exact quote they said to me. And I was just hearing this guy in my head over and over again. I don't want to play a role that's just going to be forgotten or shunted to the side or whatever. And so when I read it, I was like, okay. And then the audition scenes for Friday Night Lights were like this cutesy kissing scene between the cheerleader and the, team captain. But there was a scene in the middle where it's in the locker room and the stakes are high. And they're like, it was even in the script. It's like, we're going to improv some play stuff here. I have football acumen. I can use this. So I ripped that scene out. And then I ripped the, Jason Street, Do You Think God Loves Football scene out of the script. And I went into Stephen O'Neill, who was the casting director on the project, and I said, I think you have the wrong scenes. And this is something you can only get away with in this business when you're green. I was green. I was a rookie. I didn't know any better. So people were willing to forgive me for that. If I do that now, I'm arrogant as hell. I'm so arrogant, right? But back then I wasn't arrogant. So I walk in, I'm like, you got the wrong scenes. I think these are the scenes for Jason Street. I think these are who he is. He turns off the camera and goes, okay, we're going to do a pre-read. That's where you audition just for me. And if you're good enough, I'll turn the camera back on. And so I did it. Stephen O'Neill turned the camera back on. And then I guess, in talking with Pete years later, he was like, yeah, I wasn't even paying attention at that point because I was in New York and like, he's got to watch all these.
He's watching all the tapes.
And he's like, all of a sudden he's hearing a different scene. He's like, who is this kid? Who the hell is this guy? He's not even doing the right scenes. And they told him why. And he was like, fly him out here. And
and that was it.
I fought through testing and ended up booking.
How many times did you read?
Once in a tape room in New York, once with Stephen O'Neill, because they wanted a separate thing in New York. And then twice here at the network in the studio, and that was it.
Jesus. Inside of You is brought to you by Rocket Money. Look, this is specifically for those of you who want to save money and not get burned by all these companies. Rocket Money is amazing. I use it. Ryan uses it. So many people across the country use it. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I don't know how many times you go to a streamer and you're like, oh, I have to watch this show, and it's the only, I don't want the streamer, but I have to subscribe, but I'll just do a 1 month trial period. And then you forget about it. And now you've just paid $150 for that series or that movie. It's ridiculous. And that's why Rocket Money is here to help you.
See all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them.
Yeah, Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with customer service so you don't have to. I don't know what you're waiting for. This is an amazing thing to have. I think everybody should have this. You're just saving money with it. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they use all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/inside today. That's rocketmoney.com/inside. rocketmoney.com/inside. Hey folks, it's me, Michael Rosenbaum. Listen, if you're a supporter of the podcast, if you're enjoying these interviews, we ask you if you can join Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you, and help the podcast. It's a great way to build a community and friends, and there's a lot of benefits. There's different tiers. There's one where I give you packages every couple of months, a bunch of gifts, and write a note. You get your name shouted out on the podcast and much, much more. But most importantly, you'll be helping the podcast. So if you want to become a member of Patreon and support this podcast, that would be awesome. So just go to Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you. And I really appreciate you. Thanks.
That was
I mean, and did they tell you that, hey, you're going to be in throughout the whole series? Did they kind of tell you?
No,
like, what were you expecting?
Pete was very open with all of us. Like we celebrated at the end of the pilot. That was cool. We didn't know if we were coming back, and Pete was very real with everybody. He's like, I think we've done something special. The percentages of us coming back for the season, who knows, man, out of our hands. But we made what we wanted to make. His whole motto the entire time we were shooting that show is nobody pushes us around. So he did things his way. He wanted things done.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to make the calls, and if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail because I made the call. I'm not going to fail because somebody pushed me into a corner. We made the wrong mistake, and I get scapegoated. So it was really, really cool to have him. And then when we came back at the start of season 1, after we got picked up for a series, we had a welcome dinner. You know, we did a welcome dinner when we came back, and he said to everybody, we're not 90210. We're not going to follow you to the college years. This is about the town of Dillon. You said you can smell the town. That's exactly what he was talking about. This is about this town and the cycle that happens in a town like this.
Yeah.
Old people with faded, broken dreams who never succeeded in the ways that they want to, then putting their regret and their expectation on the next young group of people and utilizing the game of football as a way to judge whether or not they've succeeded at something. And it's like this, you know, it was a really cool thing.
Yeah.
But he goes, your characters may not stay here forever. If you leave the show, that's not the end of your career. And then he told us a story about, he was like, I can't remember what show, it's Chicago Hope or something like that.
It wasn't ER, it was, I think, Chicago Hope or something.
Pretty sure it was Chicago Hope. And he came back for season 2 of that show, and he realized, he's like, I'm going to die here. Like, this show's a hit. I'm going to be here for so many years, and I want to be a filmmaker. So he left, and he made Very Bad Things. He left the show.
Love Very Bad Things.
And he made Very Bad Things. And it's like, that was the start of Pete Berg's incredible career.
Yeah.
And so he made sure he told us in that moment, it's like, if your character doesn't come back, it's not because of you. It's because it didn't serve the story. It didn't serve, you were no longer a part of the town. So he let us know from Jump Street.
But for your character, you know, you get paralyzed.
Yeah.
And so you got to think, oh, I guess I'm going to be done.
Oh no, I knew
that they're going to keep.
I knew they were really going to explore.
I'm so glad they did. I'm so glad you weren't like, that was it.
Pete witnessed a young man named David Edwards become paralyzed in front of him. And still to this day, Koyani is one of his A-camera operators, like incredible partner of Pete's in his journey. But Coy was the star receiver of a high school in Austin. And he was following Coy, kind of documenting Coy's journey, because Coy was the man at Austin Westlake. Went on to play football at the University of Texas. He was the man on campus. So Pete was trying to capture that.
Yeah.
And then this kid out of this scrappy school out of San Antonio ends up, with a catastrophic spinal injury. And in honor of him, he created the character of Jason Street.
Wow.
So for me, I was just wearing my Gridiron Heroes t-shirt today at the gym. I met a lot of these guys, Chris Canales, his dad, Eddie, who started this charity in Texas. And we did a lot of work with them to help support families of kids who have these injuries. So Pete, once I got down there, he was like, will you shave your head? Will you get a tattoo? Like, how far are you willing to go to make sure we have this honest experience for a kid who suffers this injury? Because I want it to be real and I want it to be honest and I want to actually have this thing be impactful just, in honor of, David and all of the other kids out there who are struggling with this. Because you get letters for the first month. People come to visit you for the first month. But when you go home and you've got to widen every doorway in your house, you got to put a ramp everywhere. Who's there then? Who's helping do that? What's the insurance doing? What are the couples, like the parents, like how's their relationship strained? So they showed a lot of that. So I knew I'd be around a little while for that story to at least be shared with everyone. And
that's important. That's important to hear. You're right. It's sort of like you get all this attention and people are loving you and giving, showing up. But after a while, people go on with their lives and you're still dealing with this.
Yeah.
And that's a very daunting, sort of horrifying feeling.
Yeah. So
that support is just immense, especially for, his friend who he's supported. That's crazy. Have you ever dealt with anxiety or depression? You ever deal with that stuff?
Man. I think I never did really. I would get stage fright. Like I don't mean to make light of this at all. But like before I go on stage, I get nervous.
You want to throw up?
My stomach gets sick. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you got to take a shit.
But 100% got to take,
I feel the same way.
Got to find a little 10-2 action. But the thing is, man, is like, no. And I have family members who have dealt with mental health stuff and anxiety and depression and stuff. Very important to me to let them know, like, there's no shame in this. This is just something that people deal with. So let's talk about it. Let's get it out there in the open. Yeah. After the pandemic, I went back to work on Lucifer and I had my first ever panic attack. And
So you did have a panic attack?
I did. I have seen people go through things and you don't really have we can't have an understanding fully of what is happening to a human being in that moment.
No.
Unless you've also, and I don't say this lightly. It was, we had come back to work and I had this, it was an out of body. I had to get off of the stage. I had to get out of all these, because we had masks on, we had all this stuff on. We were be putting in like individual tents. I had to breathe. I had to get outside, and I had like, and I have.
Did you tell anyone, or were you embarrassed? Because it's happened to me, and I was embarrassed, so I didn't tell anyone.
No, I talked about it. I went in immediately, actually, and I said,
I wish I would.
I think I might have had a panic attack. Like I was sweating in a way that I couldn't breathe. I have asthma. So I've every now and then in a moment where like I can't catch my breath, I've got to breathe through a pinhole and I've got to really focus. My vision starts to completely close. It started to feel like that, but it wasn't an attack like that. And then I had something similar.
It's tingling. You get the tingling.
It was like they weren't even there.
Yeah.
It was like they weren't even there. I was like ripping stuff off as I was leaving the stage, but I think that was very situational for me. Sure. I don't carry it with me an awful lot. People out there might not understand. Like when we went back to work on the other side of the pandemic, the things that we had to do at work, people were in full hazmat gowns, double masked with like shields over their faces.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I had panic attacks every day.
So, and then once you're on the stage, they had different colored lanes and you could only walk in your lane.
No.
So you had like purple level crew, red level crew, green level crew, like
I'm
white level
colorblind.
crew.
I'd fuck it all.
Oh my God.
up.
It's all brown to you.
Yeah. It's just all like, yeah,
that's
true.
But I was, and you could only walk one way. There was one way traffic. Everybody had to walk in a way where they were not like following each other.
That's a panic.
It was insane.
Oh.
So it very well just could have been situational. And then the only other time I've had it, I had to tell people at the Masked Singer, I need you to get me off the stage, and we were shooting at a sound stage that had an isolated basketball court in the back corner of this lot, the studio lot, but there are live fans there, and I did the dress rehearsal, and the fans were outside waiting to come in for the actual performance. And so they had to like sneak me out the back and get me on a golf cart and drive me to the back corner of the lot. And I had to get out. I had a 35-pound head. I was in a foam costume. I was a gumball machine.
Dude, I'm getting a panic attack thinking about this right now.
Those are the only two times I've really dealt with it. So now I have a sense of it. So now I really have, and this is what we all need to have. I think, May is important to me because it's Huntington's Disease Awareness Month. Huntington's disease is in my family. My wife is gene positive. My mother-in-law is symptomatic with Huntington's disease, but it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. And so but
what is
split.
Huntington's?
Huntington's disease is a genetic neurodegenerative disease. It's best described as having ALS and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's all in one. And it's really tough. It's a really tough thing. But
are you wearing a band?
I am. Yeah. I looked down.
No, I noticed that you're like in the moment.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
I wear a band that says family is everything. It's a quintessential family disease because it's genetic in nature. Every child of a parent with HD has a 50-50 shot of inheriting it. It's unlike those other diseases because it's something that it doesn't skip generations. It doesn't happen, out of nowhere. It's at your building blocks in your DNA,
Sure.
and it's passed down. So it tears through families. But May was also Mental Health Awareness Month as well. And Kelsey and I felt it was like really important to split, our charitable efforts this month on both sides. So I pour a lot into HD awareness and everything in May, but we also took part in a couple of mental health things. So it's just got to get out there. People, if they don't have an understanding, like listening to someone actually talk you through it is so important so that you get an understanding. Because there's still so many people in this world that are like, anxiety is not a real, like when I was growing up, nobody had anxiety.
That's like my dad. It's like, come on, I'm like, I had lost my, my sister, and my dad, was really, to say he was upset is just a fraction of that. He was just a mess. And I said, Dad, listen, I really think you should go to a therapist or group therapy. He's like, and he says to me with conviction, nobody knows what I'm going through. And he felt that. And I go, I understand. But there are other people in the world who have lost their daughters, their sons, their mothers, their whole families in a plane crash, things like that. These things happen all the time. And I think that you talking to someone will help. And he's like, no. And he wouldn't do it. And I just think that it's a disservice to yourself. You owe yourself every opportunity to live the best, healthiest life you can. And I think if people just are able to talk, like I always talk like BetterHelp's a sponsor. I'm always like, use it's so easy. Now do it online, and you can now change your therapist, and you don't have to worry about all the things. You don't have to go in. It's not expensive. It's like just like your body, you need to work on your mind and your thoughts and these intrusive things. And so I agree with you. I think it's like, it's good to be supportive, and it's good to, take care of yourself. Yeah. And I don't think enough people do that,
It's so interesting. There's no, with HD, like if you find out your family has it, it's your choice whether you want to get tested or not. And I very often say there's no right or wrong answer. It's a very personal thing, But if a person is choosing not to go to therapy, it's also like, then let's service them by talking about it outside of that. Like, it doesn't just have to be in that setting. So we continue as a world to have a general conversation, and then maybe that helps a decision get made later, you know? So no right or wrong in the moment, but if we continue to talk about it, maybe it becomes easier. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I think
it just does.
Yeah.
It's with anything. If you hold something inside of you, it just festers. It builds up. If you talk about it, there's relief.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, your body, your stress, you exercise, it helps relief.
Yeah.
You know, how has life changed after having a daughter?
Oh man.
Are you more patient?
You know, the interesting thing is I had my son first, or we had our son.
Right.
And I would hear people tell me, like, having a son is awesome, but like, wait till you have a little girl. And I'm like, I don't know that there's like a huge like difference for me. Like, there are of course going to be little subtle things, but I love my kids like the same. You know what I mean? Like, it just, this world is just so weird.
I know.
This world is so weird with some of the things that we say.
But wait till you have a daughter.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so of course, like, the need to protect her, to like all of these things, it's all there, of course, but I kind of have the same feelings with him too. I mean, this world is crazy now, man. This world is, you know, it's so much more. Everything is so right there on top of everybody that, like, keeping your kids shielded from all this stuff it's impossible. So how do you navigate it? And I look at the way I parent both of them, it's very similar.
What's your son's name?
McCoy.
McCoy what?
McCoy Lee Porter, and my daughter's name is Clover Ash Porter. My wife lost her oldest sister when my wife was 11. Her oldest sister was 15 at the time. And her name was Ashley. So we put her name into the middle names of our kids. So Clover Ash and McCoy Lee.
I love that.
Yeah.
Inside of You is brought to you by our good friends at Shopify. I love Shopify. If you were starting a business, please listen. If you already have a business, you should also listen. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. This is really an amazing company, and I use Shopify for both my podcast. Products are so important. And so when you're starting a business, you want some products. And this couldn't be any easier, Ryan. I talk about it ad nauseum. But I love using Shopify because it is so easy, and I'm not that savvy with the technology. So all you do is you upload a picture. You take a picture of your product. You upload it. You put a description on it. You put how much you want it to cost. I have a little scale that costs me like $3 or $4 or whatever. You put your product on there. Oh, it weighs 4 ounces. They do everything for you. You can check analytics, how your product's doing, how it did last month compared to this, what products are selling, which aren't. Shipping and handling is easy. It's returning customers. It's so easy to use, and I think that everybody needs this. Get started with your own design studio. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style.
Accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography.
Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling.
And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond.
If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn those dreams into cha-ching and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your 1 month, $1 per month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/inside. Go to shopify.com/inside. That's shopify.com/inside. I have, this is called Shit Talking with Scott Porter.
Woo!
This is my top tier patrons, the patreon.com/inside of you to support the podcast. If you're enjoying this, please subscribe, watch, and go there and you could help us out. So these are questions. It could be rapid fire, or if you need to take a minute, you can.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay.
Jessica B, is there a small win you've had recently that made you feel good?
Oh, every day, man. You look at victories every single day, you know?
That you sounded like the quarterback just then. Yes, every day, man.
My old football coach used to say, you get better, you get worse every day. Choice is yours. And every day I just try to get better. And, you know, whether it's I'm dealing with a torn labrum right now, like I go to the gym. Oh, shoot, I got this range of motion back. Oh, I can throw up 50s today. You know, like whatever it is. Like I take those little victories, man. Take it everywhere you can get it.
If you can do it.
Yeah.
That's great. I think a lot of people don't. They look at all the negative things instead of like, hey, this was cool. This happened today. I got to meet you. I got to hang out with you for an hour. I got to see my buddy Ryan. I got to hang out with my dogs. Or just like hey, you know, I fixed my car. Fucking rights.
Or like when you tell your kids something that you really love and they're like, that sounds cool, Dad. Like my son is playing, my son is literally playing Final Fantasy VI, which is like my all-time favorite game. And he got it for his birthday and he is just in love with this game now. And I'm like, that's a win, man.
That's a win.
That's
little me.
That's awesome. That's little me over there. He just had his 10th birthday. He had a Triforce etched into the side of his hair. Like he had a full video game birthday. I'm like, this kid is this. You get little wins every day with kids too. So, you know.
Don G, besides acting, what are you most passionate about?
Sports.
Raj, tell me about the process for finding the voice of Peter Quill, who already had a well-known live-action portrayal, and how this process differed for other characters you voiced.
All right, this isn't a quick answer, but when I did it for the first time, it was with Telltale Games. They're an incredible storytelling studio. Everything was player-based decision-making, and that changes the narrative as you play through it. So you have to play Star-Lord in 4 different ways, really. More than that. Like, you know, there's 4 decisions that then compound into more and more decisions. In the very first 5 minutes of the game, they kill Thanos, who is like the biggest bad in the Avengers movies. They did it because they're like, we are telling our own Guardian story. We want people to know that right away. So kill him. And that gave me the freedom to go, okay, we're making our own thing, so I'm going to try and do my own thing.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt is brilliant.
Yep.
He's everything. I just had to try and figure out my own way in. And the thing is Peter Quill raised by a single mom. Same thing for me.
Yeah.
Peter Quill has like leadership, superheroism, all this stuff like put upon him. And he's not necessarily equipped for it all the time. So one of the very first things I did was the first like jump scare in the game. I made sure I yelped, like highest pitch yelp I could. Ah! Like, you know, and they laughed so hard. And I was like, that's where my Peter Quill exists.
Yeah.
He's got high energy, but he also has like a wide emotional range, and he's just not afraid to show it because he doesn't know better. Right. He's still kind of like this kid, you know?
You love playing that.
Oh, I love playing that character. I've played him in like 12 different games now. I'm Star-Lord in Marvel Rivals now. But it all started with this really in-depth story that you play over like 12 hours. It's like if you've
played them all?
Like if you play through all the choices, there's so many. Well, I mean, I had to voice them all. I had to voice every single you know, and certain things were like, I mean, if you make certain decisions earlier in the game, you and Gamora end up together in like this really heartfelt relationship. If you make different decisions, you never speak again after the 4th episode. It's like, that's how varying the stories are in that particular game. So I got a fully in-depth, like immersive, I know everything about my Peter Quill at this point. So then voicing all these things, you know,
That's
all these games after that. Dude, I want to talk voices with you because but later.
No, you've done a lot more than me, but like the
okay.
But
let me just say this.
Okay.
Like Kevin Conroy is Batman, like Mark Hamill is the Joker. Like to me, somebody who loved Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, like you are the Flash. Dude. You're the Flash that like all of the other animated voices of the Flash like live up. So I voiced the Flash like last year, but like a psychotic version of him. And
I love that.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was so.
Dude, it was a blast playing. It was easy. It was fun. It was a great cast. It was like, and I can't believe the reaction. Like when I go to cons, people love the Flash, dude, and I'm like, what? Like it's hard to imagine people. It's cool.
How did you find your Flash though? Like what did you do
in the audition? They said, hey, give me 3 different versions of this. I auditioned for it while I was doing Lex Luthor in Smallville, and I just did a voice, and Then I made it high pitched, more kid like, and then I did another one, and then they said, well, do it again in that voice and do the whole read like that. And I just kind of found it, and it was easy, and I didn't think I was going to get it. They go, thanks so much, that was great, and I left. And then my agent called me and says, hey, you got the role of the Flash. And I'm like,
oh my God.
And I wasn't a big superhero fan, so it was like I'm playing Lex Luthor. I never read a comic book. I'm playing the Flash. Never read a comic book. Didn't watch those kind of cartoons. This is really cool, but I think that if I was a bigger fan of it all, it would have been too much for me. So I'm glad that I kind of fell in love with all these characters later on, as opposed to going, holy shit. Like, yeah, I just, so that's it.
Was being a villain and being so serious like all the time on Smallville, was it like freeing to go in and be the Flash?
Yeah,
like,
anybody who knew me is like, when I first got it, my friends were like, dude, you're Lex Luthor? Come on, dude. I'm like, no, I can act, dude. I could fucking act. Wait till I turn it on. And, I tried to prove, you're always trying to prove yourself. And then this was like the antithesis. This was like, just fun, trying to find the good in everything, trying to be the life of the party, trying to not take things seriously. But I appreciate it.
Do you think subconsciously you really wanted that? That's why like finding that voice was easy?
Yeah, because I am that guy. I'm the guy that's always trying to, I think, it's a quality, but it's also exhausting, as Ryan can attest to this, but like wanting my friends to have a good time. I want everybody to have fun. I want to put people around each other that have fun, that could, I don't want to take things too seriously. When we have horror movie nights with the boys, I just want to fucking, all of a sudden I'll fart during a serious moment. I want everybody to laugh and enjoy it. And
yeah,
that's kind of who I am. So the Flash, I feel like, is that. He's that essence of like, he's a guy who just hasn't grown up, and but he can do the right thing. He does the right thing when he needs to do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Little Lisa, what is your favorite quality about yourself?
It's a very hard question to answer, but I think I'm not afraid to say yes. I've been able to do that. I have a lot of friends who like overthink things consistently.
Yeah.
But I watched my parents, like they busted their ass to like make art and in their band and make music, and they had some limitations, and eventually they had to kind of stop. And, when I was in high school, my mom was a school bus driver. My dad was laying cable for a phone company. And they taught me everything I know about work ethic, and also about like appreciation and gratitude. If I get the chance to go do something artistically, like it almost feels like it's never going to be the wrong thing to do. I had a full-time contract at Universal Studios as the Wolfman, as an example. Dude. And then I got an offer to go to Japan for a year. And at the time, I was full-time contract at Universal. I had an a cappella group that I still perform with every now and then to this day. Voice Play. I love that. Big shout out to Voice Play. Actually, just recorded a song with them for the launch of season 3 of Ginny and Georgia. But, I left them, and I left my full-time gig, and I'm 21 making full-time money. Things were good, man.
But you just went with your gut.
I said, I get to go to Japan for 10 months and do a show. Yes. And I came back, and then somebody asked me if I want to go beatbox off Broadway in a show called Toxic Audio. And I said, yes. And all of it led me to where I am.
Isn't that something?
And it's because and almost every time I do something that ends up being a poor product, whatever, you still can learn almost more from doing something where a lot of things went wrong than doing something where everything went right. So I learned a lot from Friday Night Lights, but I think there's other projects maybe I've done where I've learned just as much about how much I can give, how much responsibility it actually is of my own, because a lot of times it's not, but we wear all of these things. If it's a failure on TV, it get canceled right away. It's a failure at the box office, whatever.
But what did you gain from it?
This? Yeah, but what did you gain? And when I look back at like Speed Racer bombed when it first came out, but I learned so much on that. And eventually, I think a lot of us are proven to be right, because now people love the movie. It was just timing. It was just the world.
I've had those
where it
too.
was
All of a sudden, 10 years later, people are like, I love that.
But my personal experience on that, working with the Wachowskis, working with that cast, learning how it all was really done, like
Priceless.
I'll never regret that. So,
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Look, you've done so much. The Good Wife, Heart of Dixie, Friday Night Lights, Band Slam, tons of voice work, Speed Racer, Prom Night, The Good Guy. Now Ginny and Georgia playing Mayor Rudolph, Randolph. Did I say Rudolph?
Yeah.
So whatever.
Maya Rudolph.
Playing Maya Rudolph on a Netflix smash hit. Season 3 is coming out June 5th. Everybody's excited about this. This is a show that everybody loves. So check that out.
Yeah,
June 5th, season 3. I'm excited for you. And I'm happy for you. And I'm glad I got to meet you because you never know. You never know who someone is, who people are until you actually sit down with them and talk and get to know and your values and the person. I could just tell that your mother and stepdad did a great job. And, your grandfather would be so proud of you. And I think that's just, I'm glad you came today.
Yeah, man. No, thank you so much for having me. Shout out to mom and dad, Robin and Butch Porter. They're the best rock star parents you could ever have.
What's up, Butch? I love that name, Butch Porter. Let's play some music together.
He's a drummer, 100%. Butch Porter, the drummer. No, man, I thank you for having me, dude. This was awesome. You never know what to expect when you come into a room and you're like, how many questions you got queued up here? But,
90% of it was just us talking. I just kind of looked and go,
which is why I loved it, man. That's
what I do. I usually write stuff down so I could always, but it's more about just getting lost in conversation, getting to know someone and like what makes them tick and what do they do when they're stressed and what, about their life. So it was awesome, man. So continued success. Good luck. Netflix season 3, Ginny and Georgia.
June 5th.
June 5th.
And check out Voice Play. Yeah, we got a song coming out the next day, June 6th. So Voice Play on YouTube, you can find them too. If you want to see a little song and dance.
Yeah, I got to start listening to some of your stuff. I'll let you listen to some of the music.
Yes, dude. Let's do it.
I think you'll dig it. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like some of the songs.
I'm excited, man.
All right. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you, buddy. That was really fun. And come back again sometime when you're supporting season 8 or anything like that. But yeah, he was a great guest. Yeah, and it's nice meeting someone that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know anything about them, and you sit there and you have a conversation. You're like, you get to know somebody in an intimate hour.
Yeah,
that answers a lot of questions. It's like, when you meet somebody at a party or a bar, you're like, oh yeah, and you talk about a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of like condensed to like a life in an hour.
Yeah.
So it was cool. Thank you for listening. All the top tier podcast, if top tier patrons, those of you who support the show, go to patreon.com/inside of you. This is one of the perks. You get your name shouted out, and we're going to just shout them out because I love all these people, and I'm going to see a lot of them on the cruise, the Smallville cruise. I think it's sold out, but I'm going to be doing karaoke nights, so sign up for that. I'm going to be doing Swimming with the Pigs. I'm going to be doing a Smallville nights with Tom, Ruins, tons of stuff. So get on that cruise if you still can. Here they are, the top tiers in no specific order, but they're all brilliant. Nancy D, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Brian H, Niko P, Rob I, Jason Dreamweaver, Sophie M, Raj C, Jennifer N, Stacey L, Jamal F, Janelle B, Mike L, Don Supremo, 99 more, Santiago M.
Leanne P, Maddie S, Kendrick F, Belinda N, Dave Hole, Brad D, Ray H, Tabitha T, Tom N, Talia M, Betsy D, Rhiannon C, Michelle A, Jeremy C, Mr. M, Eugene R, Monica T, Mel S,
Eric H, Amanda R, Kevin E, Jor-El, Jam and Jenny, Leanne J. We have a lot of Leannes. Well, I guess just 2, Leanne J and
even that's a lot.
Leanne P, of course. That's a lot. There's not a lot of Leannes.
I don't know any other Leannes.
It's a kind name. Luna R, Jules M, Jessica B, Kaylee J, Charlene A, Frank B, Jen T, April R. I'll just read them. Randy S, Claudia, Rachel D, Nick W, Stephanie and Evan,
Stephen,
Charlene A, Don G, Jenny B76, NG Tracy, Keith B, Heather and Greg, Ellie K, Ben B, Jammin, Pierre C, Sultan, Ingrid C, Dave T, Jeff G, Kareem H, Brian B, Patrick H, those of you who have been a 5-year or more on Patreon, I hope you got your gift that we worked really hard to find something that we thought you'd like. So if you got what, I'm not going to tell you what it is if you haven't gotten it yet, but it's pretty cool and a lot of people are happy. So if you haven't gotten yours and you're a 5-year, you'll get it. So there you go. Thanks for listening. From the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California, I am Michael Rosenbaum.
I am Ryan Diaz.
Little wave to the camera. We love you, and please see us next week and be good to yourself.